Good afternoon, good morning, selamat datang. Welcome to the second session of today, Cultural Heritage, Progress with New Initiative to Study, Research and Open Up Indonesian Collections in the Netherlands. My name is Bente Bergmans and I'm currently based in the Netherlands. Today I will introduce you to 4 speakers. If you have participated in the winter sessions of last year, you will recognize these speakers because last year we presented a mix of students and researchers embarking on their studies and newly commissioned research projects. These sessions, we will return to these speakers and ask them to share what they have learned over the past in the Netherlands and how they will implement their new insights to the cultural field. So firstly, we will listen to the story of Mbak Trisha Karina Lahu, recently graduated from the Master Applied Museum and Heritage Studies at the Rijnwaard Academy in Amsterdam. The study sharpened her focus on critical questions of our field. How can we move beyond colonial narratives? And what role can technology play in this? Secondly, I will give the floor to Mbak Kiki Rizky Sutisna Putri, researcher and lecturer at the Bandung Institute of Technology. Mbak Kiki is awarded a grant by the Dutch Research Council, NWO, to do research into objects from the Hindu-Buddha era in Java and how colonial knowledge constructions shaped Indonesian modern art education. Our third presentation will be brought to you by Mas Sri Margana, lecturer at the Department of History at UGM in Jogja. He is also awarded a grant by Dutch Research Council, NWO, with the working title Restituting, Reconnecting, Reimagining Sound Heritage, briefly known as ReSound, and where they research into colonial sound collections from Indonesia located in the Netherlands. Mas Sri Margana will be accompanied by composer, producer and vocalist Mbak Rani Jambak. Lastly, for our fourth presentation, I'm very happy to introduce to you to Mas Nara. Through the Nuffic Scholarship Program, he recently obtained his Master in Arts and Heritage at the Maastricht University. His master thesis revolves around digital spaces of colonial collections, forwarding a new concept of digital restitutionary work in the restitution debate. So, with these speakers, I leave you with, but with a last request, to please put your questions for our speakers in the chat, and we will come back to this after the presentations in our Q&A session. So again, I invite you to ask questions and put them in the chat, and we'll come back to it. Now, after this introduction, I'd like to give the floor to Mbak Trisha.
Thank you very much, Bente. Hello, everyone. Please wait a moment. I'll put up my presentation. Yeah, thank you. So, selamat siang in Indonesia and goedemorgen in the Netherlands. My name is Trisa Lahu, and I am a recent graduate of the Masters in Applied Museum and Heritage Study at Rijnwaard Academy, as Bente has said before. And as the CHSP recipient, I am honored to share my research, which explores a challenge at the heart of both Indonesian and Dutch museum practice. How can we make our decolonial aspiration a reality in the digital systems? This research emerged from my placement at the World Museum, Leiden, where I had the opportunity to investigate a timely challenge they had, which is how a major ethnographic museum can translate its decolonial aspirations into the practical everyday reality of its digital documentation systems. And for over the next few minutes, I will briefly outline the core problem, present my key findings, which what I call the dialogue to database gap, and then reflect on how the insights from this Dutch case study can be applied in the Indonesian context and perhaps beyond. Wait. Sorry. So both in the Netherlands and Indonesia, museums ask similar question about their collection, colonial collection in this case, which is oh, we want to be more inclusive and also share authority with the source community. But that's the big question, right? So what happens when their good intention meet the reality of our collection management systems, which sometimes is rigid and outdated most of the time? How do we bridge this gap between our progressive mission and our existing digital infrastructure? This friction was the starting point of my research. And the research was conducted during my placement, like I've said before, in World Museum Leiden on April until May 2025. It's a short period, but it's quite fruitful. And I focused on their Indonesian temple photographs collection to diagnose a specific challenges of documenting multiple perspectives within their collection management system called the Museum System, or TMS for short. And this TMS is actually a shared system between all world museums. So there are Leiden, Amsterdam, and Rotterdam. And one important finding in my research was the discovery of what I called the dialogue to database gap. I observed the rich, meaningful exchanges between curators equipped with their own decolonial aspirations with the various communities they work with who are eager to share their own stories. But I saw that the workflow to get this spoken knowledge into their structured database was broken. And this is a failure of inscription, where the museum memories and knowledge remains incomplete and unsuccessfully inscribed into TMS. And this potentially risks the museum's valuable collaborative work being lost. And this gap is actually caused by three interconnected tensions. The first is a systemic bias in the technology. TMS at that point privileged a singular textual data that has written references, quite different from the spoken knowledge that they get from the community. And second is a political tension over who gets to tell the story. So museum as a modern institution has the nature to control knowledge that they manage. But at the same time, the objects in their custody belongs to certain community who has agency of a story that they want the object to tell. And lastly, a practical failure in the daily workflow. The priority of what kind of information to be recorded often goes for exhibition purpose. And this brings me to the core insight of my work. The dialogue to database gap is caused by a fundamental mismatch of affordance, a perceived affordance concept in my case. And TMS is undeniably a powerful tool. However, it's too rigid for our current cultural needs. And we are trying to document community knowledge, which is often spoken, relational, and deeply nuanced, using a database system that was primarily designed to afford a structured, textual, and singular information. And it's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, hence my graphic there. And therefore, my recommendations focus on adapting the tools and the workflow instead to better afford the kind of knowledge that we are now trying to document. So for this occasion, I would like to slightly adapt my research recommendation. It is originally for World Museum, and this is for the Indonesian context. So how does this apply to Indonesia? As our museum and archive move toward digitization, we have a unique opportunity to learn from the European experience. We can use this dialogue to database model to design our workflow from the start and ensuring that our rich oral tradition and community knowledge are captured as a core part of our digital heritage. One example is through a dedicated workflow to ensure a comprehensive recording and integration into the digital record. For example, when Museum Nasional Indonesia conducted workshop with community involving their collection, then they can use this kind of dedicated workshop to capture the knowledge they gain in that workshop. And second recommendation is a protocol that could link new interpretation directly to the archival records. For example, when ANRI, Arsip Nasional Republik Indonesia, collaborate with community and scholars on their colonial archive that they own. Well, actually, ANRI had a best grade practice and where they put up written interpretation about their VOC and Nusantara archive from scholars they collaborated with in their website. So you should check them out, their website. That's really good. And this is actually a two-way street, or what I call a mutual benefit. My research in the Netherlands could offer a model for Indonesia, but equally, the deep expertise in the intangible heritage and community practice within Indonesia communities offers a vital resources for the Dutch museums. By creating a better protocol for collaboration, we can build a more balanced relationship enriching the collection and benefiting both nations. And this is one case study in my methodology that I observed, which is the Pasupati ritual back in 2nd May 2025, conducted by the Balinese community in Wereld Museum Amsterdam. Here I observe a collection which later became sacralized and had different stories and standing inscribed to them by the community itself. Later, Nara, one of my fellow speaker, will perhaps explain more about the ritual because he is one of the community members participating in the ritual. So this is my closing, the reflection. My research journey, supported by Nuffic, has been transformative for my ideal career path. My own definition of a heritage professional is being a bridge between the human stories and the digital system, and approaching them through the multi-perspectival view. Here, multi-perspectivity concept, which happens to be a core of my research, is an approach of representing layered, both conforming and contradictory views, and also open-ended narrative of certain life events of an object. So, whether it's the source community views, the Dutch colonial views, or the contemporary views of any relevant communities, even the shared heritage views, everything are relevant. The key is just how to present and layer all of those narrative. Well, thank you for your time and attention. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, for telling us more about the dialogue to database gap. I'm very curious for our Q&A in a couple of moments. So thank you again. I'd like to give the floor to our next speaker, Kiki. Please come forward and I'd love to hear your story. Thank you.
Hello, Bente, and everyone. Okay, can I have my slide, please? Thank you. Sorry, yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Kiki. I'm a lecturer at the Faculty of Art and Design at Institut Teknologi Bandung. Now I serve as principal investigator of the Imagining Modernity project, research project that I will present here today. Next, sorry, I can do this. Yeah. Okay. We are still in the first year of 5-year collaborative research hosted at my center, CIVAS ITB, Center for Indonesian Visual Art Studies, and supported by a consortium of 7 partner institutions, including KITLV, Rijksmuseum, Galeri Sumarja, Culture Hub ITB, Telkom University, and Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, and also e-commerce Indonesia. This will be a good opportunity to us actually to use this platform to gain your insight maybe on this very beginning project. We have also additional 2 researchers joining in team, Hazim Hakim as a researcher and Aziza Shafira, and also Kartika as a administrative staff. This project emerged from a simple yet maybe observation on our ITB campus collections, of 25 Siva Buddha statues, or we call it archa. They have stood in our faculty facility for decades. This object, mostly relocated in the 50s, are said to be part of our educational system heritage, to be exactly being part of a visual art curriculum in the 50s, where this archa is moved to ITB. But the question is how, for whom, why are they here, and who facilitated their relocation. In this research, we would like to address some of what we thought as a societal problem around the circumstances. We believe that this object movement related with colonial fascination with the ancient past, how the Dutch East Indies government claim these Hindu Buddha statues culture as the so-called Renaissance, and they were sought to be preserved. But from that reality, we believe that that were also a misconception on how they understood the term, such as original or native at this point. We also felt that we need to investigate the role of my institution, the Technische Hogeschool, now ITB, in shaping the narrative of modern Indonesia. In this particular context, we assume that this specifically related to some of the agents. But at the beginning of our focus, one of those agents named Professor Vincent van Romont, who claimed the archa were part of the curriculum to balance Western influence in art and architecture education in ITB at that time. We also believe that there were significant gaps between the presence of this object and the knowledge frameworks applied to them. We'll skip this one. This is a brief history of our faculty. And yeah, from those problems, we have particularly the assumption. This assumptions begin with three questions. How did colonial and post-colonial regime justify relocation sacred object like these archas to institution like Technische Hogeschool de Bandung? What role did this object play in shaping art and architecture pedagogy in Indonesia? How did figures such as Professor Van Romont, who was involved in archaeology and teaching, contribute to this epistemic legacy? So we begin with series of reading groups. It's been started from February to March. We read several key texts, including two by Romont himself. So from that reading group, we found particularly two preliminary assumptions. Then later on, regarding to why the archas were allocated to UTB. So we assume that they are part of the curriculum, as I said before, and also it's this assumption that it's also a rescuing effort from Romont himself to sort of save the archas from during Japan occupation in the 50s, and also from the potential some private collector to do collecting this statues. We read two of these key texts from Romont. One of the writing in towards the title Towards an Indonesian Architecture, in which he, in very subtle voice, claimed that bringing the archas to ITB was meant to balance the curriculum, so it wouldn't very quote-unquote Western. Romont was affiliated with the Archaeological Bureau or Audiekundige Dienst and was complicit in this object relocation, especially through his involvement in Prambanan project. The other text was on report on his activities in Mount Penanggungan in East Java. So in this writing, he demonstrated knowledge of Javanese culture and people's customs. Like we noted that the term angker he mentioned in his writing, which signifies sacred energy reflecting local understanding and care. But we question colonial epistemologists that dismiss such terms as maybe superstition, while making political motives beneath the appearance of neutrality. And this one is footage shows that one of the statue in ITB, Panji statue, came from Mount Penanggungan, allegedly found by plantation supervisor around the 1900s. And by the 1930s, the Archaeological Bureau, Audi Kundigedienst, under someone named Stuttenheim, started the excavation and brought the Panji statue brought to ITB by Romans in the 50s. So many questions remain unanswered, almost 50 years of gap of time frame. This archival image from Wiki Commons shows a 1950s art class in university in ITB at the time, featuring this archa alongside traditional artifacts like wayang, batik, and musical instruments. Students are learning to paint in Western academic style. Curriculum document, and this is a curriculum document that time suggests that folk art were used to balance fine art, a problematic binary that reflects deeper colonial hierarchies in these terms. This pretty resonates with what Roman meant to balancing the fine art Western influence with what they call as folk arts. This statement also seems imbalanced, the term they use, fine art versus craft, or folk craft. And this one, we find it very recently. This one is from Jack Zaimaker. This translation, the inventory underwent a significant expansion when with the cooperation of Indonesian Archaeological Service, etc., etc. That this is some proof that these statues are looted from the depot in Prambanan because of the formal relation between ITB at the time and the Audi Kundigedienst and the Prambanan depot. We need to get more deeper about this. Haven't been able to find anything yet about this. And okay, at some point, we begin to feel uncomfortable, not only with the history, but with our own positionality, what we were trying to dismantle here, and what needed to be reclaimed. This process remind us that that it's okay to be vulnerable, to embrace opacity, to unstable, and to also acknowledge relational knowledge system that cannot always be classified or resolved. We started to see beyond art history and started to embrace the voices from surrounding. We also acknowledge that one of our Hindu colleagues regularly visit the arches with water and flower. Long before him, there were one of our late professor in the 90s used to put offering and even prayed to the archa even though he was not Hindu. We realized that archa had been inviting us into different kind of research approach. We've been invited to use embodied, intuitive, relational perspective to see something uncovered. So we continue our journey with two kind of encounters: scholarly one, scholarly and academic one, and spiritual encounters. In April 2025, we held a spiritual cleansing ceremony. It's called Mepiuning ritual with one of Hindu Pinandita or Hindu priests. This marked a turning point at this research. The archa were no longer seen as artifact, but as witness to memory, displacement, and also care. This ritual opened up a series of roundtable that I will explain later. Yeah, this is the footage of the ritual. Yeah, so the ritual open series of roundtable, but I also yeah. Sorry, I guess. Sorry. Yeah, this is some key points, some session on our roundtables. We talk about knowledge gap existence, scientific and political motives, influence of Dutch colonial policies, and also about the contemporary practices of conservation. Some of the findings, key points of discussion, such as collective inquiry beyond colonial epistemologies, recognizing that heritage work is not neutral, challenge the question binaries between local, global, colonial, post-colonial, sector, scientific, emphasize the agency of communities, rituals and spiritual practices as form of knowledge and also care. I can see the last one at the bottom, but yeah. And then this is our second encounter. In August 2025, we carried out a conservation intervention on the Archas in collaboration with Balai Pelestarian Kebudayaan 9 Jawa Barat as a West Java Cultural Protector Bureau, something like that. Also will be followed with another ritual named Prayaschita ritual. So after the conservation, we found that this is the conservation and this is the Prayaschita ritual. So after the conservation, we found something really exciting. Some of the residue come out from the materials from the stone that show in this laboratory findings that some substance or residue came out, such as natural waxes, petroleum-based compound like Vaseline, paraffin wax, synthetic polymers, also traces of industrial chemical like silicon, carbon, likely it's more likely from older cleaning or coating, something like that. Yeah, from that point, we also found that this object biography moved far into hidden story of the what's happening in the past of the object. We assume that at some point, some period in IPBs in the past, these archer were duplicated. So we followed these findings and found that some of the replicas, mostly in materials like resin and fiberglass, in several locations in Bandung. So we started to interviewing the owner. That it leads us to 1970s period when everyone, mostly professor and lecturer in ITB, knew that this archer had a very high cultural value, so that they feel more urged to also own the replicas. So it could be present anywhere. We haven't had sufficient information about this part as well, so it's still ongoing process. Because of these findings, we are not very, so yeah, because of these findings, that is one of the replicas also stored in the Sasana Budaya Ganesha. Yeah, because of this finding, we are now very into the residue. We found this term that could be our alternative method to understand the object biography, archaeological residue as our potential method. Yeah, this could be a gateway to object biography, but also it would be also a disruption to maybe conventional conservation practices. But this would also make us give us more understanding on the governance aspect of this some kind of possession of this archa in our school. This is my final slide. We will have next plan to do. So yeah, big thing to do. We will start to do provenance research next year. We will have 3 big sessions. In Bandung, we will talk about good practice in conservation and the biography of the archa. And we will also moving forward to Yogyakarta, maybe UGM and Solo. Still haven't been able to contact partners there. We will have visits, roundtables, discussion, and we will also have a site visit to Gunung Penanggungan, to Selo Clear. This is our second time. We did the site visit early this year. We will see the Selo Clear site and Kendali Sodo, and also maybe have a panel discussion in the Ubaya Center there. Yeah, this is my acknowledgement for everyone that made this research fun and enjoyable so far at my Center for Indonesian Visual Art Studies in ITB. First, I would like to thank the Dutch Research Council for the generous grant. We've been selected as 11 grants for LWR research into colonial with colonial context. Into collection with colonial context 2025. I would like to thank our partners institution, KITLB, Rijksmuseum, Galeri Sumarja, Culture Hub ITB, Parahyangan University, Telkom University, and e-commerce Indonesia. Thank you, and yeah, looking forward for question and response. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Kiki, for explaining what the current consortium is doing, about highlighting the misconception of original and native. Also, thank you for taking us along in the provenance research, the importance of archival material, and definitely also the conservation progress. Thank you, and we'll see each other at the Q&A. Now, I'd like to ask Pamargana and Rani to come forward and present their work. I'm curious to know more about resound. Thank you.
Thank you, Benten. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me in this conference. Actually, I would like to update the development of our project entitled Restituting Reconnection, Reimagining Sound Heritage, or we usually shortly we call it ReSound project. So this project is led by me and working together with Dr. Mele Yamomo and Dr. Barbara Titus from UvA, University van Amsterdam, and with main coordinator of the project, Dr. Widya Fitrianingsih. As we know that the kickoff of the project has been done in last June in Amersfoort, and we are very happy that we are invited in that kickoff meeting, and we have an opportunity in that meeting to see the huge collection of colonial heritage that kept in that building. And of course we are amazed, and this also make us convince more for our project that there's a lot of things we can do and need to be done for this kind of colonial object. And we will focusing on the, although we focusing on different kind of object, we focus on the sound archives. And as you know that we have I have introduced before in the first meeting that we're going to focus on the main collection that available in the Netherlands, also in Indonesia. And maybe we can move directly to the slide number 8. Sorry, I have to skip some slides because the limited of time. So we can move to the slide 8. So we focus on the sound archive that's available in the NESV is our main consortium partner, with mostly the Philip Holland Omroep, Holland's Indies radio broadcasting archives are kept there. And after the kickoff meeting, we visiting the ENESV, and we start making a kind of early survey about the potential collection that we can explore for our research. And then we also introduced with very huge collection and how they preserve the collection, and the way we can do undergo our project in that place, in this particular institute. And then the other collection is the Kunst collection, which is at the moment actually available in 3 different countries, in Germany, in the Netherlands, and also in Indonesia. But for the sake of the availability, we will focus on the archive that already digitized in the Netherlands and also in Berlin. And in Indonesia, we also have some some of the wax cylinder, Yapkun's collection, but I'm not sure that we can still use that because most of the collection already dilapidated. So as you know that we have three different work package. Can we go to the 12 slides? uh, our main project next after this. Next slide. Yeah. Okay, that's we have some work package uh, and activities like consortium meeting that we do in every month, every third weeks, and then we also have research visit to the Netherlands, and we are already have recruited PhD candidate, which is Mbak Rani, that will follow our presentation today, and she's very bright scholars, very young talents that has a lot of research experience and also performance experience, and she's going to do research in Sumatra, and lately she has undergo and participate in the project that we have initiated with especially Dr. Barbara Titus in NIAS with the project we call as the Suara Yang Pulang, and the voice that returned home, and then got a lot of response and positive response from the people of Nias. Later, Mbak Rani will tell more about uh, her activity with Barbara in this Suara Yang Pulang. And then we also this year has announced our second work package, which is a research fellow, and we announced three candidates for available for a research fellow. And now the announcement just last week announced, so everyone who interested in joining this project can also participate and apply for this research fellow. And the announcement can be seen in our website and the Faculty of Cultural Science, Gadjah Mada University. There's three positions for this research fellow. Those will have an opportunity to visit the Netherlands and spend research there for the whole 2 months, and they will return with writing a kind of short report and article for our project. And then we also next year we're going to have a kind of conference, a summer school, and that will be held in Gadjah Mada University. The summer school is open for everyone who interested in this project, in this kind of activities like student or teacher, researcher, or practitioner who interested in doing research or make use of sound archive wherever it kept, wherever it located, and interested, you may join in this activities. And afterward, we're going to have a kind of workshop for also open for internationally for everyone in Southeast Asia, Europe, and Indonesia to participate in this program. Also, we have doing visiting some institution in Indonesia together with Barbara and other member of the consortium of the Indonesian consortium of this project. We visited Museum Sono Budoyo, which is have 383 sound archive in the kind of Piringan Hitam, which is where now has been all digitized. And this is very interesting and very important collection, which comprise of any kind of recording, mostly music recording, traditional music, traditional performance, also Western performance or Western music as well. And Sono Budoyo has welcomed us to to everyone who are interested in make use of this archive. And our project has a special focus on this collection, especially a collection of traditional performance that done by Indonesian Chinese peranakan. It is surprising that many recording is recording of the whether it's this a ketoprak or whether it's this gamelan or drama or gamelan Japanese music, which is involving mostly Chinese peranakan in Indonesia in that period, especially in 1930s, 1920s, or in until 1950s. So we're going to give a special focus on this in this project. Okay, that's what we have done so far in our project, and to get more insight about our project that we have done in Sumatra, especially in Nias. Also want to listen of the our candidate, PhD candidate, Mbak Rani Jamba, who's offering a kind of research, very interesting research on the topic. So I would like to invite Mbak Rani Jamba to to present what you're finding in when you are visiting Nias and so far, and what you're going to do in your PhD research.
Thank you so much, Pak Margana. Thank you so much, Paulina and Bente. Yeah, please open my slide. Yeah, actually, I just started my PhD program with Pak Margana and the Sound program. And my research is about economizing sonic heritage methodology for contemporary music creation based on Yakun's archive, specifically in Sumatra. But I want to, just giving a brief introduction about my research that someone here. Yeah, that the methodology of creating contemporary music will enrich the study of Sumatra's musical heritage with a contextual perspective, because so far the metadata in a university van Amsterdam has very limited information, and sometimes also have misconception about the archive itself. So through this research, hopefully we can give the most right contextual perspective with the view of the people in Sumatra, and then expand archive access to local communities as part of cultural revitalization. What we did in Nias is just like very direct uh, repatriation concept, that we directly see the people and then giving back the archive so they can bring the meaning through the archive itself, and try to reinterpret it, their own identity after the colonial era. The generate contemporary music composition that bridge historical narrative with sonic innovation, which is really great, I think, for your generation to expand and understanding their identity, their relationship with their ancestor, and then develop ethical and creative methodologies for interpreting colonial archive. So in this research, it's really important that the people or the source community participating actively, not passive. So making music together with them in terms of creating contemporary music with the with the knowledge, the meaning uh, through the archive becomes very important goal in this project. And where are we now? So last July, I felt so grateful because me and Barbara got invited to Nias in Hilisiametana village to see the exhibition of Suara Yang Pulang held by the descendant of Nias uh, named Doni Christian Daki. That he is an independent researcher, very enthusiastic in cultural heritage of Nias. And through him, we got connected to many villages around Nias, so we can give the archive directly to the people. So here, the house is like already 400 years old, and inside of the house, Suara Yang Pulang exhibition uh, is happening there. So people around Hilisemetana village can listen to their ancestor like directly with their ears. And so we also did a repatriation process in Nias and the exhibition and the other villages around Nias. And we met a community called Hoho Sipalaria. So the old guys here living in Hilisemetana that still actively, oh, sorry, my time is almost up. Yeah. Um, yeah, from our discussion with the community, we can get a very deep understanding about the Hoho that we try to listen to them from the archive item number 98, sorry. And we got some correction from the metadata, and then we got the correction from the Bapak-Bapak Sipalaria, and then we also got uh, uh, a good understanding about the Hopo that they are singing. So it was really emotional personally for me because after there's a moment after they listen to the archive and then they continue to sing the Hoho like direct the exact same Hoho. And I'm sorry, my time is almost up. So yeah, the process is like revitalization. I feel like it's become like a living heritage. It was really important that we can meet many elements of the people in Nias, not only the source community, but also the scholars, the cultural practitioner, the artist, and also here we did a repeating history. So this is the place that Yap Kunz did the recording in 1930s in front of Berani houses. And those are the guys like the descendant of the people that Yap Kunz did the recording almost 100 years ago. And we also had a chance to have a session with Universitas Nia Saraya, and I think it's really important that we meet the young generation of Nias, that the agency become stronger, that the event is not only giving back the archive to them, but also bring a new narrative, a new understanding, maybe a new identity for Nias people, not only for the older people, but also the young people. So I think, sorry, my time is up. Thank you so much uh, for the time. Looking forward to the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Rani. Also, thank you, Pak Sri Margana, for highlighting the importance of sound archives, different activities surrounding resound, online, offline, but also approaching it as a living heritage and explaining the direct repatriation progress at NIAS. This was very insightful. So thank you. And I'd like to give the floor to our fourth or fifth speaker, Mas Nara. Please take it away. We're curious to know your story.
Oke, halo everyone. Selamat pagi dan selamat sore. Kulon Nuwun, teman-teman semua, Prof. Sri Margana dan teman-teman semuanya. Sorry, I'm speaking now in English. So, yeah, thank you very much for having me again. So, I'm Nara. I'm one of the, like Trisha, the recipient of the Nuffic scholarship, uh, funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And here I would like to show my like very simple research of my thesis, my master program. It's very simple compared to others. So please share my screen. So here's my project title. If it's giving space for grandma, about digital registry work of Indonesian colonial collections in the Netherlands. So next, my background is public policy. So I really amazed in the bureaucracy of the. Oh yeah, I can next myself. I really amazed with the bureaucracy of the institution which I'm going for in the museums collections in the Netherlands, in which I first argue that we know that the Dutch Indonesia restitution policy on colonial collections continues to marginalize source community using the state-to-state principle. And here I argue that the historical injustice is not just how the objects were collected, but also how they were cataloged, classified, categorized, recorded with Eurocentric bias and framework. And I will also extend that this catalog card that you see in front is themselves are the colonial objects. It's full of biases, inaccuracies, and misrepresentations. And from here, I ask myself on in what ways of communities could be included in the residency work of colonial collections, and how does now the digital space, expanding also with Trisha's uh, presentations, how do they offer potential possibilities for communities in healing the historical injustice? So I use the colonial theoretical framework to challenge the Eurocentric knowledge system, and also the third space to use the digital space as a hybrid zones of meaning making, and do I also use the indigenous data sovereignty, where the right of communities over their cultural data. So in my method, I use FGDs, collaborating with various communities in Indonesia, in Bali, in Aceh, and Surabaya. And I also conducted an experimental digital ethnography on the like making a TikTok video series on Indonesian colonial objects in the Netherlands. I used the case of Prince Diponegoro's sable and Aceh's Barus flag. So in earlier, I just skip for the relevant uh, uh, collection. So at first, I got the opportunity to have an intern at the Bureau of Colonial Collection Consortium, and there I can see the database of collections that in the Netherlands have over 1 million records of colonial objects from Indonesia. And from Aceh, I collaborate with Aceh's community, and which we found an object from not an object. I'm sorry. From Aceh, uh, a skull, which is in the categorizations. It's called as a trophy. So the way that it's categorized as trophy is the persistency of coloniality that embedded also from the catalog card continue to the digital space. And now I ask from the establishment of the Colonial Collections Data Hub, I do ask how does the source community could be included in this database. So I I collaborated with them and see how we um, intervene in the digital database, telling that this is not a trophy, but this is humans, and we argue that this is might come from our Acehnis hero. And then It's also a way that we are spiritually reconnect to the objects, and how we see that we make collections in the reclaim their own narratives. So with Balinese community, I we explore the colonial photographs and find these records about one photograph on the during the Puputan Badung massacre, and we found that there's a misattributed description in the title. And then we on in one of the focus group discussions, we know that that is our ancestor, one of the ancestor of our participant. So we give the name of the person here, that the one who sits in front of the in the seat is Sagungwa, that is misattributed in the title. So that's hence it's giving space for grandma. And now also we encountered the first point of knowledge that this is a sacred object, usually to carry a pratima, which is a sacred deities. And then we intervene in digital space that this is not a doll or just a mere statue, that object, but this is a living sacred objects that connect with our own epistemology. And then from there we create a list of digital contact point, creation of list as a digital contact point. And from there we move to the cultural reunification, that we could on May to the 2nd May we reconnected the local knowledge system during we made a Pasupati ritual to reconnect the object to our own local knowledge system as the witness of the historical injustice they have. So this is the ritual that we conducted by the Balinese priest, attended by the Balinese governor, and also we have a dialogue on the care, and yeah, towards the future cooperation of that. So this is part of the new layer of revolutionary work of how the objects also being included, especially with the local knowledge system by the source community. And then I also have this digital space experimenting on my own digital ethnography, making content videos on Instagram and TikTok, focusing on the Acehnis flag and the Diponegoro's sable. And there's have many respond towards the objects. It creates many multi-layer perspective on the object. So how digital space really democratize the object, not only as a one single narratives, but multi-perspective and very polyfocal, that create the heritage discourse as itself from the video. So it's a very simple research, and the finding of how communities could be included. There are various ways. Many of my previous presentator have been explored on how communities could be included, but I see the digital space matters. It depends on the agency to initiate, not by artists, activists, researchers, or policymakers. But yet, in digital space, though it is important, asymmetries remain. So participation is mediated in digital infrastructural constraint, institutional control, and also in terms of TikTok, there's some kind of algorithmic governance. So, and also sovereignty over heritage data is negotiated, partial, and contested. So what I argue is that digital space could be the first contact point to participate by knowing first what object that is currently present in the Netherlands. So yeah, how does the digital space of colonial collection offer potential possibilities of restoring, addressing historical injustice? First became of the first contact point. but these users can know what belongings that currently present in Netherlands, despite the question of how did they get here into the Netherlands remain opaque due to data standardizations from the catalog card to the digital space. There are many information that being lost, and yeah, such as like embracing the opacity is one of the key point that is being raised previously, that is really important. So digital space have shown there's a communities centered platforms that shows addressing epistemic injustice in the legacy, a colonial legacy of the metadata archives. So I also give a conceptual contribution on the digital repository work, that how community-led and non-state actors act as negotiation, representation, and interventions through digital platforms that I use in this coin from the Data Hub and TikTok, but it could be really, really expandable in many possible digital ways. And I hope this could bridge the restitution and repatriation debate when physical return is contested, and to be the first contact point of knowledge for a request on a physical return. So the key highlight for me is that digital restitutory work is that how communities subvert the dominant narratives and the reclaim epistemic agencies, knowing that restitution is not only the endpoint, but a constant ongoing process of repair, recognition, and reimagination. So that's a very simple research and findings for me. I really gratitude for first the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom to give me the chance to criticize them, to show the how opaque they are still, and still go the Maastricht University, Nuffic South Asia, and also the Bureau of the Colonial Collection to give me the opportunity in this first place. Thank you very much. That's all for me.
Thank you, Mas Nara, for highlighting that the digital space matters, and that when physical return is contested, we can still move forward in the digital restitutionary work that you've highlighted. And also, I really like the title, Giving Space for Grandma. So we have heard a lot about our speakers, about their stories, their experiences, their research. We have some time for our Q&A. But first, I'd like to see if there are questions for our on-site participants that are in the room. So let's see if there are any questions there. Yes, there are. That's great.
Topic. So, I'm Sally Veronica from Universitas Sumatera Utara. So I have a question about when, especially when we are unrevealing the cultural heritage treasure that sometimes, like what I ever experienced last year when we want to explore about Bulungan kingdom, they have a lot of treasure that we can expose, but somehow some of the third history behind, they want to hide their identity even, and they don't want to open the story about their culture. So I know that some of the speakers today, they're exploring about something in NIAS and everything. Have you ever facing that kind of the problems also when the communities, they don't want to involve in the cultural heritage exploration? So what can we do to let them willing to involve in our research? Thank you.
Thank you for your question about community work, and if the community wants to be involved in the work that we're doing, or maybe choose to hide. I think this is a question that multiple speakers can answer to, but I'd like to go to Mbak Rani and Mas Sri Margana for these questions, because you mentioned also the importance of the NIAS community. Maybe you can reflect on this question.
Maybe I can start a little bit. In the case of NIAS that I have also seen in in the presentation of Barbara when he was there, when she was there, and with Barani, there's interesting response from the grandchildren of the people whose voice been recorded by Yap Kuns in 1930s. And this man never seen, of course, never seen his grandfather, but he can listening this voice of him directly from that recording. So this is what make him what kind of so emotional in that time. And then it's also what you call it, raising a kind of more and more uh, intention, raising more attachment with the ancestor. And then it's very emotional. And actually there is a video that also showing about that situation at the time. So it's really a kind of magical. So the involvement of the local people, because mostly of if we are dealing with the in the past, especially uh, this kind of voice recording, which is already most of the owner of the voice already gone, passed away, but the successor of the tradition is still there. It is make more make them more proud of their society, and they start to to do something. And yeah, it is more like solidarity become stronger among the society. Maybe Barani has more impression about it.
Yeah, for me, it was really emotional experience. But from my experiences, not only in Nias, but during my other research, it's really important when we come to the place that we are present and also bring our anas that we have a very big interest in that culture and why we do this. So being honest is very important. So the attachment or like the emotional relationship can build with the people. So the thing that we have a big interest and also like intention to learn about them. So it can like they can accept you very welcome, a very warm welcome. So I think that's really important as a researcher that we come to a new place.
Thank you. Thank you. Being honest and also being open about your intentions, and not only learning about, but learning with a community. I think that is, that's important, and also answers the question from our participant in the room. So I also want to read out loud a comment that we have online of Stevie van Wichelen. He's making a compliment to Masnara, great work. So the so-called colonial collections in the Netherlands need more of these kind of multidisciplinary initiative and research. So that is great. Thank you for leaving that comment to one of our speakers. We're heading towards the closing of our event, unfortunately, because there are many, many more questions and exchanges that we can have here about, are we talking about objects? Are we talking about living heritage? And what does that mean to engage with living heritage, with living sacred objects? I think that is a red thread through our stories that we have heard today. I'd like to come to a closing words, though there are many more side paths that we can explore in this session. So firstly, I'd like to thank the speakers for participating in today's session. Thank you everyone who also tuned in, engaged with us, and learned more about the importance of cultural heritage and how this can contribute to redressing historical injustice. I'd like to say thank you as well to the organizing team, the supporting partners of WINNER, and also I'd like to specifically mention Nuffic, Southeast Asia, and also Dutch Research Council, NWO, for contributing to a more equal and equitable research and education field. I think these researches have shown the importance of it. Closing off, please stay tuned for our third and last session of today. I was more than delighted to have been your moderator. My name is Bente Bergmans, and thank you for attending. Goodbye for now.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.